This video is kind of in response to a question that was posed by New Gen RPG, and she or he, I'm not really sure, they don't have any videos, had asked in the comments for the what the problem with 5e is video, why do I need a new RPG, and what does 5th edition bring to the table that is not already there? And I replied to that, but I thought a video might be a little bit more just to the point, easier to get the message out there. So why do we need a new RPG? Well, we don't. Well, sort of. Yeah, I don't know what system New Gen RPG plays. I don't know. Hopefully they can see this and reply and let us know what actually system they play sort of regularly. But when I said we sort of don't need a new RPG, here's the thing. We really don't. I mean, if you get down to brass tacks with the ideas that were originally formulated by original D&D, and I'm talking the original, little tiny shitty booklets of D&D that seem so sparse, you really don't. Actually, original D&D addressed every genre out there, right in the rule book. If you happen to own a copy, I don't care how you own the copy. If you don't know that's a thing, you should probably reread it. Gygax specifically goes into that in a section on making characters and the limitations of the system. It's not really just meant for fantasy. It's actually kind of refreshing when you read that and just like, Jesus Christ, all the answers were already there in 74. But why do we need a new RPG? So here's the thing. Gamers tinker, right? We're fucking ultra nerds, and we're the kind of people who like to take something, take it apart, dissect it, right? Which is where you get a lot of your munchkins from. They like to dissect a system, like to see it. Not necessarily bad. It's when you choose to try to win Dungeons and Dragons is when you become a fucking problem at the table. I digress. But so that's our thing. That's what we always have in new RPGs, is because you'll take an existing idea and say, well, what if we did it this way, or what if we added it, added this to it, or we tweak it this way and we move it in this direction. And how do we make it more succinct for this genre? That's why we, get new RPGs. People have these new amazing ideas. You look at how the circle is flipped from F20 games, and that was this massive crunch of mathematical combat between the player and the system, and then the wheel turned, and you start seeing a lot of shit, not shit literally, like Burning Wheel and Fate, Dungeon World, all the Powered by the Apocalypse games. Savage Worlds, I've always said Savage Worlds is elegance in crunch. A whole nother video, or you can go back and watch the podcast. And so you get these systems, and this wheel keeps turning, the cycle, it keeps going. Now, what 5th edition brings to the table is that you have to remember that 3rd edition and 4th edition and Pathfinder and all the F20 derivatives around that are so laser focused on fucking combat. If you don't believe me, look at all the skill examples. Damn near all of them, how they apply in combat. The feats, damn near all of them, how they apply in combat. Spells, damn near all of them, how they apply in combat. Right? That's what the system is about. It's a tactical combat game. It's what it's designed around. No harm, no foul. It just is what it is. Right? It was pointed out by several people in the comments. Already that was its design goal, and that's great. Is what it is. What 5th edition has done is, again, with the consultants they use, is that 5th edition, while being an F20 game, they've manipulated the idea that the spirit of what a game about is very important. So F20 games have a different spirit than Rolemaster, than Fate, than Powered by the Apocalypse, than Savage Worlds, than Rifts, than Rolemaster, unless I said that one already. Burning Wheel, all these games have a different spirit to the rules, right? And you can take those rules and make a new spirit depending on how much you're going to bend and break them. Not break in the negative sense, but sometimes you have to completely deconstruct it and go in new directions and think outside the box. Dungeon World is a great example of thinking outside the box on an F20 system. So what 5th edition does is it encapsulates that. Sorry, it's been a really long day. And they took the spirit of role-playing, the social aspect of gaming, and got that written down in the rules in an easy to understand way to present to their audience, which is more than likely coming from an F20 system, right, which is combat heavy. And while 5th edition is combat slated, it is. But when you read the PHB and the Dungeon Master's Guides, but even the Monster Manual, like all designed around combat, but you've got these legendary abilities and these lair abilities, and the shit is amazing, right? It takes it to a whole nother level. And you can incorporate those into role playing. You don't believe me? Think about trying to assault the fucking green dragon, right, of a certain age with its legendary abilities and its lair abilities. You're going to have snitches all over the woodlands as you try to make it to it. So, little examples, but they did. But the consultants and the writers, again, I applaud them. They took all of that and they managed to capture the spirit of role-playing, the social aspect of role-playing, and get it down into verbiage that players can digest. And just seeing people not really get that, right? It's not wrong or bad. It's just frustrating more than anything to see that they're just, there's that roadblock, and all they're doing is really skimming the books and going right to the combat sections, the mechanical aspects of the game, and just kind of that there. You know, I mean, how many fucking, sage wizards are there? Probably too many, right? Make a fucking criminal and then make a wizard. That's more interesting, right? The sage wizard gives you lots of great shit, but mechanically it gives you an advantage. Who cares? The idea of being an acolyte, and now you're a fucking drunkard fighter. That is a fascinating character. That has way more role-playing applications and more fun to be had. Sort of an example I'll get into, and, call me a dick. It's critical hits guys. The critical miss. Anyway, they're all 4th edition dudes, and they started doing the 5th edition, and they mostly bitched about the system the entire time. If you listen to the actual plays, it's a lot of complaining every single time. But the one dude started complaining because his fucking dwarven fighter had an 8 dexterity. It's totally valid in 5th edition. It works, right? It works. Look at how heavy armor functions in the game. The bounded accuracy is amazing. Again, they put those constraints on the mechanical aspects in order to grow the social aspect. So, I personally don't need a new game. I found Savage Worlds years ago, and despite what people say, there's a long history of fucking podcast videos where Savage Worlds will do exactly what you want, depending on how you know the system. I mean, it's a tiny fucking book. It's $10, and I have people all the time go through that litany of shit of like, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. Bullshit. It does everything. It does everything extremely well, and it's all put in the guidelines of the rules. The spirit of the game is to be tweaked as you need it, and you can create any kind of genre and setting that you want in it. So I personally don't need a new game. However, I'm pretty excited for 5th edition because I owe Aaron, I'll keep his last name off the air. I think he goes by Fighter Mage Cleric Thief on his old handle, but Aaron and I kind of got into it. I really thought 5th edition was going to fucking fail. At the end of the day, no, they succeeded. The test material didn't impress me at all, but the final product is amazing. I highly recommend it. I still highly recommend it. It is what it is. It's definitely worth a look-see. So that's it. Why do we need RPGs? We're nerds, man. We gotta always see the new shit. But ultimately, you don't. We never had to move on from original D&D.